The San Diego State Aztecs football team controls its own destiny. 2 games left in the season. Win them both, and they will host the Mountain West Conference Championship game at Snapdragon Stadium. Hello, welcome to Aztecs All In. I'm Louis Weiner along with Steve Perez. Aztecs defeat Boise State 17-7 in a game that didn't have very many completed passes, but lots of running, Steve. And it was a great game for the San Diego State rushing attack. Lucky Sutton and Christian Washington just really did a great job tonight.
Terrific job by them, and you know that because of that, I should say, because of the job that the offensive line did, they were able to do that. And one of the neat things I saw as we were waiting for the team to walk through, one of the big dogs on the offensive line, Ross Uligalamasuli, he tossed his work rag, his field rag, off to a kid next to me. And I asked the guy who was with the kid, "Hey, do you know how that was?" "No." I said, That's Ross, man. That's Big Ross. He runs that offensive line, so it was a cool moment to witness.
That's like the old Mean Joe Green Coke commercial. Remember where he throws his jersey to the kid near the locker room? This was a great game, rainy game, Steve. The rain played a big part of this game because the Aztecs offense was primarily rushing. The few passes that they did pass were not successful. We'll talk more about that in a couple of minutes. But, man, it was the Sutton and Washington just really led the way there. The offensive line, just tremendous job tonight.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the weather conditions because it obviously had an effect on the people who went through the turnstiles. The announced attendance is 29,000. I would venture to say if there were half that in the house, that's how many they had. But the ones that were there were very supportive and enthusiastic. At one point, about 20 minutes before game time, I'm looking at the student section and I'm going, but close to game time, ended up about a quarter full, and then eventually, a third full or so, but they were vocal.
Yeah, they were vocal, and you got these guys there. It was raining. They took their shirts off, and they were having a good time in the rain there, spinning their wet shirts in the air, and I think the crowd really enjoyed that. But not as many there as would have been had the rain not been around, but, you can't really control that.
Yeah, got to mention that. Toward the end of the first quarter, rain's coming down. Hats off to those guys in the student section. Had their shirts off. They're twirling their red, their black, their white gear over their heads. And Lewis, also on the subject of twirling, the band was out there and they had their ponchos on before the game, marching around with a bit of rain coming down. Now the baton twirlers and the flag twirlers went without ponchos because how could you do your job twirling anything unless you have unless your hands are free? So hats off to them, the spirit squad, the cheerleaders, the dance team, who incidentally were part of the whole day that began at 5:15 p.m. for all the people who cheered the Aztecs on with that warrior walk, and the fans. And we weren't there. We unfortunately missed it as the team, hopped out of the buses and took the big walk into the Snapdragon Stadium. But to have them out there performing in those conditions, that's hats off to them. A tribute to them and to the fans that showed up.
Absolutely. The fans who showed up, they braved the weather, and I'm glad they were there. And Coach Lewis, after the game, really thanked them. And I think he was hoping for a bigger crowd tonight. Probably a little disappointed in that. But, with the rain, what can you really say? But the Aztecs did do it on the ground, Steve, as we said. I just want to point out, Lucky Sutton finished the game with 152 on the ground. Christian Washington, 98. And for Lucky Sutton, he went over 1,000 for the season. He is now the 20th different running back in Aztecs history with a 1,000-yard season. It's also his 5th 100-yard rushing game of the season. So just a great game for him and Christian Washington.
Yeah, and for Lucky, a lot of those yards after the contact were gained with one or two Boise guys just trying to stop him, and he was not going to be stopped tonight. He ran with a particularly ferocious attitude tonight, especially after he took the hit. Now, Boise State responded because they had an untested quarterback, and they ran pretty much the same amount of times that the Aztecs did. The Aztecs ran the ball 46 times, gained 277 total yards. Boise State ran the ball 41 times tonight, gained 164. So, as we'll hear from Coach Danielson of Boise State, the home team was just a little bit more efficient in the run game.
Yeah, the passing game, not much for either team. Max Cutforth, who started in place of the regular starter who was out with a leg injury, 12 of 18, 104 yards, and most of those came late when they were trying to get back in the game. The Aztecs passing game was non-existent. Jaden Denigal, 6 of 10 for 17 yards, and 3 of those completions were for -3, -2, and -3. They kept trying to run that screen pass, and they couldn't get the blocking. They did run it once late. That was one of his successful passes that actually got positive yardage. But that was just a tough situation for Denigal to get anything going. But they really didn't need to, right, Steve?
Right. Boise State scored only 7 points. They scored it on a drive in the first half, and it was one of those long, sustained drives where it occurred after, 3 possessions that netted nothing, and finally the Aztecs scored on their possession, and so Boise State had to respond. It looked like the offense took advantage of the defense of the Aztecs that had been out there for a lot, playing pretty hard, and when the Aztecs scored, they scored pretty quickly. Boise State went on that long, sustained drive and managed to score, but that was it. They had one other opportunity to get on the scoreboard in the second half, and it did not work. It was a kicker who pushed the ball a little bit to the left, and that's your final tally. When you can hold a visiting team to just 1 touchdown, and you have a defense like the Aztecs have, boy, success is somehow just baked into the cake in that point.
Yeah, that first quarter, that was something to watch. I believe there were 7 punts. I'll talk more about that when we do our recap in a minute. 7 punts in the first quarter alone. But the big play, I think, that really turned the game, Steve, was toward the end of the first half. The Aztecs had 4th and 1 midfield. They called a timeout. They came back. Denigal tried to get Boise to jump. They didn't. Then he did run the play, handed it off to Lucky Sutton for 26 yards. And that was key to the Aztecs being able to control the game and get more points on the board. After the game, Coach Lewis talked about that particular play and how important it was to beat Boise and move on to San Jose State next week.
Yeah, I mean, it was a culture play. It was a culture moment, right? Taking in all the information, didn't need to be rushed. Knew again that efficiency was going to be key in this game. We've also talked a ton the past 3 weeks in particular about how we've not won the middle 8. And so there was an opportunity there, I felt, to, kind of jump at it and seize a moment and to win the middle 8 by controlling the last 4 minutes of the first half and then position ourselves as we were getting the ball to potentially double them up to start the second half. So as the boys came over, right, it became pretty apparent that they wanted to go for it and wanted to bring them close, get a good opportunity to look in their eye, and all right, you guys want this, let's own it. This is a culture play. So then something that we've worked, and obviously that T formation, getting underneath center, having some versatility, in our personnel packages, and our guys owning it. That's something that Coach Schmidt implemented going all the way back to the spring to have a true identity of who we're going to be. Guys have done a great job with that. Our efficiency in that set has been through the roof all year. So feel confident in that call. They went and executed it. Tip of the cap to the boys. This win was really important because the Aztecs were doing it tonight. We got to stop talking about who we're playing. These games are important because the Aztecs are playing. The work that we do is important because the Aztecs are doing it. It happened to be Boise across the other sideline that got it tonight. Point blank, period. Everything that we do in this town, right, with this community and with these guys is important because we are doing it, and it happens to be them. So I'm really excited about our guys and the work that we're doing and the record that we have and the work that we've done and the work that we've yet to do. And I'm excited to get back in the building tomorrow after taking an opportunity to smoke a good cigar tonight and get together with the staff and do great work with them. But it's important because we're doing it. No matter what it is that we're doing, a walkthrough on Monday night, a tough Tuesday inside run coming up, right? A situational Wednesday, a feel-good Thursday, a perfect play Friday, or going to play on a Saturday. It's important because the Aztecs are doing it, and our community needs to know and understand that as well. We need them to be a part of it, regardless of who the opponent happens to be. Yeah, we bully the hell out of them. It's damn good. It's a physical game, right? Like, especially not like this where you know that, you're going to need to roll it up and tighten up the chin strap a little bit, right? So it's funny, a year ago, a lot of people talked about the gap between our two programs. Gap doesn't seem too significant, does it? Right? So our strength and conditioning department does a hell of a job. Our kids do a hell of a job. We're a physical outfit, right? Like, we may live in a great area that doesn't get a whole lot of bad weather, but, man, we got a blue-collar nastiness about us that if you want to go fight in a phone booth, let's go get it on.
Taking a look at a couple of the other stats that I found interesting on the Boise State side, the ball was put on the ground twice. The Aztecs were unable to get a hold of any of those. I think a big difference maker in this game was the penalty yards. Boise State got flagged a couple of times for some big ones, ended up taking 4 yellow flags, 45 yards. Aztecs only 2 for a total of 15, so that's a stat sheet win for them. Boise State actually held the ball longer than the Aztecs did, 31 minutes 5 seconds to 28:55 for San Diego State. So how do you get a winning score out of that? You are more efficient with the football. Talking about the weather and the conditions there, the players were asked at the outset, do you feel like you had a little bit of an advantage or at least got some training in the weather because of all the weather that you played through last weekend and that thrashing you took on the island? The players decided, yeah, I think that might have helped just a little bit. Lewis, I should add the players in the interview room, Lucky Sutton and Owen Chambliss. In addition to talking about the conditions, they give their thoughts on a couple of other topics, and we will conclude this montage with Coach Lou chiming in on what his message was to the players after this win.
Definitely ball security, but we knew it was going to be run the ball, kill the run type of game, so whoever could ultimately run the ball better was going to win the game. So I was just trying to make sure I got them dirty yards, hard runs, and make sure I was taking care of the ball as well. I think it definitely helped because last week was the first time I got to play in the rain, like as a collegiate back. So it's definitely an experience, but I would say nothing really changed. It helped a little bit more so I could be prepared for it, but I would say it didn't really change anything in the game, me running or anything like that. It was just, I didn't have to wear gloves this game, you know what I mean?
Last week was my first game playing in the rain in college, so it helped us out a little bit going into this week. We just got to do a better job wrapping up because we know they're going to be a little more slippery. I mean, I like playing in the rain, so I hope so. We knew that they were going to have a really physical offensive line and that their backs were going to run hard, and they had 3 really good backs, and we just had to make sure that we were playing with really physical fundamentals and we were on the same page with our run fits and just making sure we wrapped up and shut up with violence every time we tackled.
All week long, we kind of had a simple theme of pull the rope and proud to compete. And we kind of really leaned back on all the work that we had done, from having pride and restoring pride in the program, restoring pride in the colors that we wear, to going all the way back to February when we went down to Coronado and, got sandy, got wet, got cold, jumped in the ocean, had some unbelievable tug-of-war battles, and reminded the boys of what that was going to be like, right? And so to get back on the rope after an outing that was not to our standard, not to our character out on the islands, and to grab that rope and not just be on it, but to pull it with all that you got through all 3 phases, and like a good battle of tug-of-war that our boys felt back in February during winter conditioning, right? Like inch by inch, eventually that rope's going to go, and then you need to run with it, and you need to, dominate the opponent as you get the opportunity to. And I thought our guys did that. They lived that. They had an unbelievable passion to go compete. And so just reinforced that message at the end, right? And so it's a great win, sitting here at 8-2, controlling our own destiny, and being able to take a next step, right? And we got to do it again, right? That's the beauty of what it is. We'll take 24 hours, right? But then refocus and, go make the corrections and take another step to continue to elevate and to earn the right to go get some more work.
Yeah, so in that Lewis, he was talking about what a big deal it was to beat Boise because They are the big dog of the conference, as we said going in. They were on a 3-game winning streak against the Aztecs going into it. Winners in 22, 23, and 2024. And that last one I found particularly painful when an Astringenti-led team ran off and hid in Boise last season en route to making the FBS playoffs. 56-24. That was probably the biggest point total in the history of the series between the two teams. But just to go back and put some sort of a point on how enormous this victory is over Boise State. Not only does it put them in the driver's seat, but Boise State was the team that everyone was picking. The media picked them going into the media days back in the summer, and Lindy's Sports Annuals picked them to finish first. Of course, that was because Maddox Madsen was leading an offense that at the time was racking up the points. Aztecs, by this publication, were picked 11th. And looking at Athlon Sports College Football Preview, there again, see, there it is. The blue Bronco, the orange and blue Bronco, picked to finish first. The Aztecs picked to finish 8th. So even though Coach Lewis insists that it is not a big deal to beat Boise State, the players mentioned that it was a personal deal because they had not, in those last 3 years, been able to come out ahead against Boise State. And I'm sure the fans relish the opportunity to witness, either on the television, on a national TV audience by CBS Sports Network, or the hardy folks who made it into the house. Hey, Boise State, it's annual pick to win the conference, and the Aztecs have emerged triumphant.
Yeah, how good has Boise been? Well, this is the first time they have lost 2 straight games in the Mountain West Conference since 2021. So we've heard from the players and we've heard from the coach, and now it's time to look back at the game with our famous stats and recap. On a chilly and rainy night at Snapdragon Stadium, the Aztecs win the toss and elect to defer, and the defense comes out ready to play with a 3-and-out, 2 short runs and an incomplete pass to Latrell Caples. Aztecs take over on their own 29, but can't do anything as well. An incomplete pass, then a 1-yard completion, and another incompletion leads to a 3-and-out. And just like that, Boise gets the ball back, 1st and 10, from their own 27. And the Broncos move the ball a little bit. 2 straight 6-yard runs by Dylan Riley and a 6-yard gain from Sire Gaines. But the Aztecs hold on 3rd and 4, and Boise punts again. So can the Aztecs get anything done on their second possession, starting way back on their own 12? Not really. Sutton with a 4-yard run, but a false start makes it 2nd and 11. Sutton gains 4, then a Jaden Denegal keeper gets just 1, and the Aztecs, still looking for their first down, punt again. Broncos start their third drive at their own 42, good field position, and starts off with an 8-yard pass to Cameron Bates and an 8-yard Dylan Riley run, but the Aztecs defense stiffens, and Eric Butler making a nice play to break up a 3rd and 7 pass, and guess what? Yep, the 5th punt of the game already, with 5:25 left in the first quarter. But the Aztecs just can't get anything going. In fact, they go 3-and-out, gaining 0 yards, and that included a 3rd down completion to Lucky Sutton on 3rd and 7 that actually lost 3 yards. And then the rain starts falling hard as Boise takes over on their own 46. This is already their 4th possession in the first quarter, and the Aztecs defense playing well. Owen Chambliss stops Riley on a 1-yard gain. Then Mr. Williams stops him on a 2-yard gain. And on 3rd and 7, Max Cutforth back to pass. He fumbles. Boise recovers, though. And guess what? Yep, the 7th punt of the quarter. Aztecs take over with Christian Washington in the game, and boom! First big play of the night. He speeds past the defenders into open field, scampers for a 41-yard gain, and after a 2-yard run, the first quarter comes to an end with no score. How about those end of first quarter stats? Total yards, San Diego State 53, Boise 45. passing, Aztecs minus 3 yards, Boise 7, and the Aztecs had 56-yard rushing to Boise's 38. Both teams combined 0 for 7 on third downs. Second quarter starts, Aztecs, or should I say Christian Washington, keeps the drive going with a 26-yard run down to the 11. Then he runs hard, bringing defenders with him for a 5-yard gain down to the 7. Then he slithers down just short of the goal line for 5 and a first down. And on first and goal, Denegal sneaks in for a touchdown, 7-0 Aztecs. 6-play, 80-yard drive, all Christian Washington runs except the touchdown. So, can Boise do anything in the rain? Well, they take a page out of the Aztecs playbook and decide to just run the ball as well. Sire Gaines with runs of 20 and 11. Then on 3rd and 8, a 6-yard pass to Latrell Caples sets up a 4th and 1 from the Aztecs 42, and Dylan Riley gets 2 yards. A 2-yard Riley run leads to a delay for a possible fumble review, but no fumble. So Boise keeps it on the ground. Dylan Riley for 8, then Gaines with runs of 5, 2, 1, and 2. So can the Aztecs hold them to a field goal? Nope. 3rd and 7, Dylan Riley slips through a tackle, gets 7 yards for the touchdown. It is 7-7, a 14-play, 75-yard drive that took 7 minutes and 46 seconds. So the Aztecs get the ball back with about 4.5 minutes left in the half, and it starts off poorly with a pass for minus 2 yards to Jordan Napier, but Lucky Sutton picks up 14 on 2nd to the Aztecs 43. But a scary play next on an incompletion. Jordan Napier is hit hard, comes up limping off the field. He would not return to the game. Then Sutton for 4, Denegal for 5 makes it 4th and 1 from midfield. And after a timeout, the Aztecs decide to go for it. After Denegal tries quickly to draw Boise off sides, he snaps the ball, and Lucky Sutton breaks free for 27 yards down to the 23. Can the Aztecs put it in the end zone before halftime? Well, Lucky Sutton makes sure the answer is yes. Runs of 8 and 7 yards make it 1st and goal from the 8. And after Boise stuffs Sutton on 2 runs, 3rd and goal from the 8, Denegal back to pass, but a designed quarterback run, and he runs into the end zone for a touchdown. Aztecs up 14-7 to end an 11-play, 71-yard drive in 4 minutes, 13 seconds that included a pass for minus 2 yards and 9 rushes for 73. And after Boise runs out the clock, that's the halftime score, 14-7. Quarterback numbers are ugly for both sides at the half. Jaden Denegal, 3 for 6 for minus 5 yards. Max Cutworth, 4 for 6 for 13. But the rushing numbers are impressive for both sides. Aztecs with 166 yards and Boise with 121. For the Aztecs, Christian Washington, 5 runs for 79. And Lucky Sutton, 11 for 73. And Denegal, 4 for 15 and 2 touchdowns. Total yards at halftime, Aztecs with 161 and Boise with 134.
All right, Lewis, the big stat posted on CBS Sports Network. The Aztecs do not surrender leads. They are 6-0 when leading at the half. Here are my second half questions that hopefully we'll get an answer to momentarily. Can the Aztecs continue to run the football effectively? Maybe even a score on the opening drive? Quite obviously, Lewis, if you can get ahead of a team led by an untested QB, the Aztecs defense can get to work trying to make him more uncomfortable than he is already, making his first ever start. On that note, can the Aztecs defense get a better handle on the blue team's run game? Obviously, that's the key to Spencer Danielson's strategy with the aforementioned inexperienced QB. He did show effectiveness when called upon to make the short throws in the first half. He was 4 of 6, but a paltry 13 net yards. Maybe the Aztecs defense could possibly come up with a few turnovers if Max Cutforth is forced to throw more. And the third question is a whimsical one. Just how many students will remain in the student section as the game comes to a conclusion. Okay, to start the second half, it's Donovan Brown returning the kickoff in place of Jordan Napier. 24 yards to the Aztecs 25. A good start to the half. A dash through the middle by Sutton, 9 yards on first. He then gets first down and more, running through tackles for 12 yards to the 46. The next play, way out from the side, it's a flag on the following down. An illegal block in the back by Nathan Acevedo. It sets the Aztecs back 10 yards. Sutton will gain 4 yards on first and 16. He follows with a couple more. It's third and long. Denegal makes a deep pass to Donovan Brown. It's complete, but no. The replay is demanded, and it shows he's on the line and over it. Then he could have kept that one more on the field of play. It appeared to be a tad underthrown. The fans don't like it being overturned on review, but they never do. Aztecs will punt on their opening possession. Special teams unable to down a Hunter Green punt. It lands in a good spot, but kicks hard straight forward into the end zone. Boise State first and 10, 25-yard line. The handoff reveals a big hole. Dylan Riley blows through for 6. Second is an end around by Malik Sherrod. Chris Johnson with the hard tackle after he gets the first down. A fresh set of downs at the 31. Another huge hole for Riley, but eventually, 3rd and 3, a pitch wide to Sherrod, and the Aztecs are all over it. Owen Chambliss and Eric Butler lead the parade, contributing to a loss of 3. A fair catch of the punt by Mikey Welsh. Aztecs with the ball at their own 29. A second possession of the second half. 8:44 left. Sutton gains 5 on first down. That sets up the play-action pass with Denegal completing to Mikey Welsh for 23 yards to the Boise State 46. Following play is a net loss of 3 on a short pass. Sutton gains a yard, brings up 3rd and long. Denegal gets nothing on the fake pitch keeper. Aztecs must punt again. Green again fails when it's his opportunity to pin the opposition, kicking another one into the end zone. The visiting team in the white jerseys, blue numbers, blue pants takes over again on their 25-35 left in the third quarter. Aztecs D looking run. Boise State trying all kinds of misdirection before handing off to Sire Gaines for 4. They are back at it again. They have a tight end in motion. They will gain 5 yards again to Sire Gaines. 3rd and short. Cutforth sneaks for first down to the 29. Out of the gun of the Boise State 31, another give to Gaines. He finds space on the far side of the field, but a personal foul face mask on the ball carrier. Gaines against Dwayne McDougal for 15 yards. That sets them back to their own 21st and 21. The next play is no gain for Sire. Then Cutforth completes a short pass, brings up 3rd and long. They give to Sherrod. Boise State punter gets off an ugly punt down on the Aztecs 31. The give to Sutton on first for 6 yards. Another give, and whatever blocking scheme they had going there didn't work. He loses a yard. The third quarter ends. A quick one. Lewis takes this opportunity to look askance at the kids without their shirts on. Aren't they going to catch a nasty cold? He tells me. He points at the guys. It's raining, he says. I say, Lewis, they're in college. They're young. And they're probably full of some pretty effective disinfectant at this point. Anyways, fourth quarter danger zone. Aztecs 3rd and 4 at their own 37. Now moving away from us and those kids who most assuredly are going to catch their deaths of cold. The Aztecs spread formation. The give to Christian Washington, who makes his way through the line, gains just past midfield. Washington carries again, makes something out of nothing with that elusive quality he has. 2nd down, 7. Byron Cardwell will come up and get a carry. With the ball, gets outside, gets 10. Cardwell follows with an inside carry for 2 to the Boise State 34. Points precious in this game. The next call to Cardwell tests the middle of the Boise State defense for a couple 3. 3rd and 5 now. The end around call is to Welsh, gains nothing, and bring on the field goal attempt. That will make it a 2-score game. And Gabe Placentia drills it, a 47-yarder. Aztecs lead this one 17-7, 10:51 left in this prize fight of a game between two 4-1 teams in a battle for first place in the Mountain West. The kids still have their shirts off. I see a couple of them heading up out of the section. Are they leaving? Or are they on their way to get some more disinfectant? On the kickoff, Placentia follows up that field goal with a kick out of bounds at the Boise State 10. They take over on the 35. 1st and 10, it's a complete pass toward the far side, gains 9. A short run by Riley gets the first down. 1st and 10 at the 49, give to Riley for 5 to the Aztec 46. Throws on 2nd down, complete for 3. On 3rd and short, under center, gives to Riley, who loses a yard, courtesy of Mr. Williams. It's 4th and 2. Aztecs will take a timeout with 7:46 left in this game. What's the call on both sides? And will drop back to pass. It's complete. And an apparent first down, but no, there's a flag on this play as well, holding on the Bronx, and they must punt from their own 47. Welsh will call for a fair catch of the punt at the Aztecs 14. There's 7:12 left. Aztecs still leading. The give to Lucky for 6. Jaden Virgin Morgan, after this play, leaves the game. He looks hurt, clutching one of his arms. The give on the next play is to Sutton. He will barrel ahead for 7 to the Aztecs 27. Another give to Sutton for a short gain on first down. And then out of the gun, Denigal looks for a call. Another give to Sutton, who bounces and spins his way into the Boise State secondary for a big gain, but just shy of a first. He will get it on the next play. They will try that pass to the boundary for Mikey Welsh, who figures out a way to catch it at the Aztec 36 and get 2 yards. 3:58 left to play in this one. Where did all the time go? Give to Washington in the middle for a few. 3rd and 6. It's a 2-score game. And look for the Aztecs to keep it on the ground. But we shall see. Yes, another give to Washington for a few. Brings up 4th down. Boise State has to call a timeout. 3:48 left to play. High snap. Green gets off the punt. Not a great one, but down to the Boise State 19, they need points. 3:38 left in this game. The first toss, a good one, complete to Chase Pennery downfield. And then the following play, he will scramble for no gain. Follows up with a short completion, bring up 3rd down, and he will evade the Aztec defenses to complete another short pass. He follows that with another pass to Perry, and Johnson breaks that one up, almost breaks Henry in the process. 2nd and 10. Eventually, the drive gets to the Aztec 34. It's first down, and that will bring us to the 2-minute mark. And it's probably, like I say, half of what the announced crowd is still here, but they are making noise. And the Aztec faithful doing their best to support the home team. From the gun, obviously, looking for a go route, and the receiver ran an out. Also, Boise State is flagged for a chop block, and that will set the visiting team back 15 yards. That's a dangerous maneuver. 1st and 25, and he falls with a wounded duck of a pass. Fortunate no one comes out on the Aztec side with that ball, waving his throwing arm after the hit by an Aztec defender on that play. 3rd and long, and Cutworth, another mix-up on the play, throws long on a receiver running a short route. It brings on a Boise State field goal attempt, and before the attempt, the Aztecs want their second time out of the half. Colton Boomer is the Boise State kicker who gets a practice kickoff, and it went right through the uprights. And the one for real that follows out of the timeout is wide left from 41 yards. So no change in the score. Aztecs take over on their own 24, 1:20 left to play, and they are about to take sole possession of first place. Aztecs can end this now with victory formations. Donovan Brown is the deep back. He's doing a bit of a dance and egging on the kids who are still hanging out without their shirts on, and they respond. And that will be your final. Aztecs hold on to win this one in a defensive masterpiece, and the Aztecs sail on the ground, going low on this one, and ending up winning this one 17-7. As always, Lewis, there's a losing side, and it's Boise State, and their fine coach, Spencer Danielson, put together a solid team this season. Didn't know he was going to be without a starting quarterback and had to rely on a backup who performed admirably, did a lot of handing off, and talked about the game plan before the Broncosports.com broadcasters carrying the post game, and said the conditions dictated the reliance on the run game, and I'm going to say also the fact that he was going with an untested quarterback. And he said, obviously, their run game was more efficient. He knew the game was going to be a slugfest. Let's hear some more of his thoughts.
Tonight, I mean, there was rain and all that, but it was no issue. I mean, it was rain in certain parts of the game, but we're all playing on the same field. Obviously, we shot ourselves in the foot a couple times on some penalties that weren't pre-snap, but were pretty bang, and got us behind the chains. We got to be more efficient around the football, and then obviously we got to pick our spots throwing the football. But in a situation we were in tonight with the rain and a backup quarterback, we need to be smart. And we missed a couple of those opportunities, so got to find a way to create more points. And then we got to get off the field more on defense. We were getting bled out too much. We couldn't stop the run efficiently like we need to. So it wasn't just an offensive production. It was really all three phases. Yeah, with those conditions, it's really hard. It's really hard because you're regardless who's in, it's really hard. You got to rely on the run game because there's just so many variables when the ball's in the air. Wet ball coming out, sack fumbles. There's a lot of things that could go sideways. There's, one score game for the majority of the game. And so, trying to just lean on our run game. I know they leaned on their run game, and obviously their run game was more efficient than ours. Yeah, we got to take it just one day at a time. I mean, we've had everything on the table for the past 2 weeks and obviously have not played our best. And as a head coach, it's on me to look to see why. And I'm proud of how our guys have been prepping, proud of how they've been battling. And what guys are injured, guys have stepped up and done a good job. We're not executing enough to win these football games. And we got to look at it. And there's some thoughts I have, but I got to continue to look at the tape to see why. I'm proud of how our guys prepped. I'm proud of our guys battled to the end, didn't flinch, but obviously we didn't execute enough throughout the game.
Lewis, the Aztecs got to this point by maintaining their ability to remain humble as part of their process, the old one game at a time adage, and thus are 2 conference wins away from hosting the Mountain West Conference Championship game. So ask Coach Lou about the challenge of maintaining that humble outlook in the midst of such amazing success.
Stay present in the moment. And obviously we got some great lessons that when we haven't remained humble, that we've been humbled, right? So I think the biggest thing is that we just need to be present, enjoy this special team, right? Like I think too often we spend too much time thinking about the past, or we get too anxious worrying about the future and all the things that could happen, as opposed to just, that's a pretty special moment with a pretty special team, with guys who made a commitment long ago to do something special. And a lot of people talk about that, but we put out those graphics long ago to the boys, and it was kind of, when all those guys announced, hey, like there's unfinished business, it wasn't just a neat slogan, like it was something that they felt in their heart, right? And so being present in the moment, pouring into the moment, I think by doing that, it forces you to be humble. It forces you to realize, how special this is and how quickly it can be taken away. So just being present in today. And again, good Lord wakes you up tomorrow. Embrace that today.
A look at the final numbers, Steve. The Aztecs with 294 yards of total offense. Boise not too far behind, 268. The Aztecs 277 on the ground, 144 for Boise. And one more note, the Aztecs win this game despite going just 3 of 12 third down conversions. That does not happen very often.
No, but a big stat below that is red zone scores and chances. They had 2 opportunities to score in the red zone. They capitalized on both of them. So, as Coach Daniels has said, very efficient night for the Aztecs. Boise State had, as their leading ball carrier, Dylan Riley, 21 carries for 81 yards and an average of 3.8 a carry. Did we give Max Cutforth's stats? 12 of 18, 104 yards. A long of 19 toward the end of the game when they really had to try to do the hurry up. So the Boise State did the best with what it's had, but they were going up against an Aztecs defense that, except for that stumble against Hawaii and the earlier stumble against Washington State, has been pretty stout all season long. I did want to mention the women's basketball team, right? Because we talked about that. And they were on TV today, too, amidst all the football stuff. And they took on Cal State Bakersfield whooped them pretty soundly, 78-48. It was a game that was on KUSI, and they entertained the visiting road runners. So the Aztecs are 3-1. Their next game is always that fun one. It's the field trip game next week at 11 a.m. against Santa Clara. It too will be on KUSI.
And quick mention of the Aztecs men, they back on the court on Tuesday against Troy at home.
Okay, so I guess we can go ahead and send this one into the corral, just like the Broncos have been sent tonight. The spot to mark on the X is Aztecs_all_in. The email address is aztecsallin@gmail.com. For Louis Weiner, I'm Steve Perez. We will come back to you again sometime soon to talk to you more about the first place Aztecs in the pole position, 5-1 now in Mountain West Conference play. Talk to you soon.